So to follow up on the video I just did about, what the payoff could be. Another question is, how far can they take this to really blur the lines between reality and pro wrestling? How far can they go besides taking off his merchandise off shop.aew.com, as well as taking his profile off their roster page? How far can they really take this? If you want, to me it's just as big a question as what the payoff would be. And I think I mentioned this in the live stream. I believe I mentioned this in the live stream. One of the things he mentioned in his promo last night, his Pipebomb, was there was a lot of executives in the back. And there's this merger, obviously alluding to the Warner Brothers Discovery merger, and the executives being along the lines of, let's say, a David Zaslav, who is the head of the whole shebang now, and Kathleen Finch, who Zaslav has put in charge of all the networks, including TBS and TNT, in which Dynamite and Rampage air on. And, it got me thinking, and like I said, I believe I mentioned this in the live stream this morning. It got me thinking, what else could they do to blur the line of reality and pro wrestling? What is a story, what is not? And I thought about it throughout the day, and I was thinking, what if they have MJF, get in contact with Zaslav and show him, evidence that Tony Khan is not who he seems to be. That Tony Khan is nothing but a fan who just was fortunate enough to have the money, thanks to his family, to get his own wrestling company. What if they blur the lines where, Maxwell show, or it's hinted at that Maxwell, has done something like this, and then Zaslav, or at least a representative of Zaslav and Kathleen Finch, shows up on Dynamite. Maybe they do something with Tony Khan in the back. This representative shows up and tells Tony Khan to call up Zaslav. Zaslav wants to talk to him. And then they go back to that, and Tony Khan basically, he's talking with Zaslav, and basically we don't hear what Zaslav is saying because it's not really him. But still, you have Tony, as best as he can, react to everything that Zaslav is telling him, to the point that when it's said and done, you just, you leave Tony, you kind of leave Tony's side with him having this reaction of, oh crap, I've stepped in it now, kind of deal, or oh crap, I didn't want him to hear about that or find out about that kind of deal. So that's one way of doing it, because you could have MJF threaten to screw up any potential future that AEW and Tony Khan could have with the Turner Networks and Warner Media and Warner Bros. Discovery, if he doesn't give him what he wants or treat him, on the level that he believes he should be treated. That is something they could do. And if you want to, you could bring in a Kathleen Finch, maybe a David Zaslav, in person. They could confront Tony. They could confront maybe, some other execs along with Tony and say, look, you either need to shape up and grow up, in other words, stop being a fan and be a real owner, a real businessman, or find somebody else to take over, or we will. You could have something like that occur. Where, again, you could have the representative say, hey, Tony, David wants you to call him, and Tony does that, and then you, like I said, you have that moment where Tony, gets this reaction on his face after he's done talking, like, oh crap, I'm in it now, or I need to fix this kind of deal. Or you could have them show up on television, maybe before Forbidden Door or even at Forbidden Door, and you could have Zaslav and Finch, Kathleen Finch, if you want to, basically say that they want to keep AEW on the Turner Networks as a part of the merger, but they need Tony Khan to basically stop being a fan and be a businessman, be a true wrestling promoter, businessman instead of a fan. And maybe if you want to, you could have Kathleen Finch throw in a line of what we're trying, basically throw in the line of, what I'm trying to say, or what we're trying to say is you need to grow up and be and run this company like a real owner and not a fan. Or something along the lines of, we need you to grow up and, to grow up and get out of this and stop being a part of this fandom and focus on this as a real business and not something that, you just, want to have because, you're a fan that just has a lot of money or something along those lines. Not saying they have to do this. Not saying they have to go that route, but to me, honestly, I think it would make a lot of, to me, it would really, like I say, help blur the lines of reality, of what is reality and what is the storyline. If you have, if you have basically MJF get in contact with them and thus start the process of making Tony Khan's life in AEW a living hell unless he gives him what he wants. So that's another way to really blur the lines. If you would have, a representative say David Zaslav wants Tony Khan to call him, Tony Khan talks to him, and then afterwards, has this look on his face like, oh shit, I stepped in it now kind of deal, I need to fix this. Or I should say, you have them show up, maybe a forbidden door on screen, and to play along with this blurring the lines, you could have Zaslav tell them, look, we want to keep, the good news is we want to keep your show on the networks. The bad news is we don't want you running the show unless you stop acting like a fan and you grow up and be a businessman, be a true owner. And maybe you, like I said, you have Kathleen Finch throwing the line of, you need to, basically grow up, or basically grow up and get out of this fandom and be a true businessman. Or else find somebody different, or we will. Or something along those lines. So I think either way, that should be one of the things they consider doing to help blur the lines between what is reality and a storyline. Because if they do that, ladies and gentlemen, then that will get people talking about this more so than they ever have. Because one, it ties into the future of all elite wrestling on the Turner networks, and via Warner Media. And it also basically helps, maybe from a storyline perspective and legit perspective, help Tony Khan grow as a business owner so that he can finally to figure out, okay, it's like, basically what I'm trying to say, hold on. Okay, almost got tongue-tied there. But basically, it could help Tony Khan from a in-story and if not a legit perspective to finally figure out, how to balance out being an owner and being a fan. So that's one way they could go with it. But what do you guys think? Do you think they could go in that direction? Or do you think they should try something else? Let me know down below, comment if you like, and I'm out.